If you want Colts talk all year long, you're in the right place.
Taylor hit, but he bounces into the end zone. Touchdown! I-N-D-Y!
How can we, like you mentioned, as pillars, as guys who are leaders on this team, how can we turn that around?
Play action. Now he's in trouble, and he's going to be brought down. A sack for the Colts. DeForest Buckner back to the 27-yard line.
Never quit. I never not fault. I never not compete. And I will always continue to be a great leader, a great competitor.
Now he checks it down left side, looking for the end zone for Alec Pierce, and he's got it. Touchdown, Alec Pierce.
This is the official Colts Podcast, giving you an updated look at what's new with the Horseshoes. In the Indiana Union Construction Industry radio studio, let's get the podcast started.
Hey, welcome back, everybody. Another week. It's mid-May. The weather is here. Spring is in full swing. Welcome back to the official Colts Podcast, brought to you by WynnBET. Larra Overton, JJ Stankevitz, no Jeffrey Gorman today. I'm Matt Taylor. Guys, good to have you back. Larry, you had some track over the weekend, did you not?
Yeah, SEC Outdoor Track Championships in Baton Rouge. And you guys, this is how much of like a junkie I am for football, no matter where I am. Especially like I love to spend, it's such an honor and a privilege to get to do this and to get to go to the track meets. But, you know, after 3 days of track and field, I'm like salivating for a football fix. So I go out for a run around this beautiful lake in Baton Rouge, and it's so hot. I mean, it's already humid. And of course, Louisiana folks are like, this is nothing. Yeah, like wait till July. So I'm out on a run, and I see a few folks from the Arkansas track program. And I said, what are you guys doing? And they said, oh, we're going over to find Brian Kelly's house. And I was like, wait, where is it? And they're like, oh, it's like a quarter mile that way. So I'm like, well, now I'm going to CBK's, you know? So I double back, and I'm like just out gawking at this like unbelievable.
Was Brian Kelly there with his family?
With his family.
It was pretty funny.
I'm glad you said that, JJ, because I wanted to say it. So one of us had to say that, right?
So I'm like, oh, yeah, here I am. All right, that's my football fix for this Saturday. Like a little, like just checking out, scoping out Brian Kelly's house like a real stalker.
Pick up an LSU T-shirt while you're there?
I may have. So I grabbed one for my dad. And then I have this, there's a particular brand of T-shirt. It's called The League, I believe, is like the brand of this shirt. And they're all very like vintage throwback shirts. Mm-hmm. And when I was doing the Olympic trials in Eugene in 2021, I ran into the bookstore to get something for my dad, and I was like, oh, this is a cool T-shirt. So I just grabbed this Oregon T-shirt. Well, now almost every campus I go to, I buy that same brand of T-shirts because they're very like vintage looking. So here, I mean, this is terrible like podcast because I can show you guys, and I can't show obviously the entire listening audience. But now I have one from Stanford. I have one from Ole Miss last year. I mean, it's the exact same like style of T-shirt as well. And then I had to take my dad one because, you know, my dad is how I was introduced to the sport of track and field and why I love it so much. So
there you go. Yeah, very sharp.
It's the old school, like the tiger with like the little hat on it.
Already looks like it's been in the dryer about 50
100%.
times.
Why don't we tie this into some football? Matt Taylor, can you name me the last player the Colts drafted from Louisiana State University?
Wow.
Shoot, you're putting me on the spot here. Give me a year.
2011.
Gosh.
Third round pick, 87th overall.
Gerard Powers. No, he went to Auburn, right? I don't know.
Drake Nevis.
Yeah, okay.
Holy my.
Yeah, nose tackle, right?
Yep.
Yeah, he was quick guy, quick off the ball.
Before that was obviously Joseph Adai.
That's still fresh in your mind, all that those draft articles you put out a couple weeks ago.
Look, it took me, while Larra was looking for her T-shirt, it took me about 30 seconds to go on StatHead and pull up Colts players drafted out of LSU.
That's cool.
For a little bit of trivia.
Nice.
Yeah. So it's so good to be back. I was eager to get back and
good to have
glad
you back.
to be back.
Good to have you guys here. We are loaded today. We're going to take a look at the Colts unofficial depth charts in the spring, discuss where some of these rookies fall in unofficially. We'll also play a round of failed it or nailed it regarding the NFL schedule that just came out. We'll talk about some big picture stuff, and then we'll also catch up with this. You guys are going to love this guy. Special guest, former Colts defensive end Bjorn Werner. Larra, remember Bjorn?
Absolutely.
You covered Bjorn.
Sure did.
We'll chat with Bjorn, a native German, and now he's a German sensation in terms of broadcasting NFL games in his native land in Germany. So we'll talk to him about what the Colts can expect ahead of their trip to Germany later this fall against the Patriots in November.
He is a significant personality in terms of the rising interest in American football that you're seeing in Germany.
Yeah, he's playing a big part of it.
Those crowds over in Germany are going to be great. Last year, that game in Munich, the Seahawks-Bucks game, that crowd was lit.
Insane.
That game.
Yeah. Let's go to the depth chart updates. We got veterans and rookies intermixing on the field for the first time this week. OTAs are going to start next week, but with vets and rookies on the field for the first time here this week, let's take a look at some of the areas of the Colts' unofficial depth chart and discuss where some of these first-year players might slot in. Let's go. We're going to take a look at wide receiver, offensive tackle, and then we'll transition that into the cornerback two deep. So, JJ, when you look at the wide receiver two deep right now, you got Michael Pittman, Alec Pierce, Isaiah McKenzie, Mike Strawn's coming back, Ashton Dulin, and then there's the rookie Josh Downs. Where does Josh Downs fall into the pecking order as of right now with this first week going on with vets and rookies?
Yeah, it's going to be direct competition with Isaiah McKenzie Jr. in there. And you look at kind of how both those players are utilized. Last year, Isaiah McKenzie played about 75% of his snaps in the slot for the Buffalo Bills. Josh Downs last year for North Carolina played about 81% of his snaps in the slot. So those are primarily majority slot guys, and that makes sense, right? They're undersized traditionally for a receiver, so because of that, you don't want them playing on the line of scrimmage where they can get pressed. They use their short area quickness to get open where you can't get hands on them in the slot. So I think those two guys competing is going to be really healthy because McKenzie's a good player. He's made some plays in the NFL. He's got run after the catch ability. He's shifty. You can do some different gadgety type things with him. Josh Downs, that short area quickness, the good hands, are all things that Reggie Wayne really liked in him coming out of North Carolina. So those two guys competing, I think you'll see them both take the field this year, but right now you're competing for snap share probably.
Yeah, in the slot. I would agree with that. All right, Larry, let's go to offensive tackle. You got Bernard Ryman, Braden Smith, Blake Freeland, and Jordan Murray. And again, by the way, we're just giving you what we think is the two deep as of right now. This is as unofficial as it gets. Before we talk about Blake Freeland, Lara, how much more comfortable? I know you weren't here last week in terms of Wednesday, Thursday, Friday doing track like we said, but I know you saw the Bernard Ryman press conference. How much more comfortable do you think Bernard Ryman looks and feels at this point in the offseason compared to at the end of last year?
Well, I also went out to practice yesterday to try to get a few looks at this as well as guys were getting, back in and everything off of the weekend. And I think you're seeing significant growth in terms of confidence and familiarity for Bernard Ryman. I also think that he is one who can really thrive with the guidance of Tony Sperano Jr. I really like his coaching style in particular, how it pertains to this group. And he is totally hands-on and how he coaches and how he is guiding that group. And I think that someone like Bernard, who still has so much football to learn and so much growth and so much potential because, he came into the game much later and really all through his college career was still learning the offensive line positions and learning how to take advantage of his skill set and at left tackle. So I do think you're going to see immense growth when we get out there and you get into see like veteran mini camp and all of those phases and then leading into training camp as well.
The real quick thing on Bernard Ryman is last year he didn't get his butt kicked. Like he had some snaps where he admitted, I lost those reps and those led to sacks. But if you look at it, Bernard Ryman allowed the fewest pressures of any regular rookie starting offensive lineman in the NFL last year, 27. That tells you that on a down-to-down basis, he was playing pretty well. But he needs to clean up the mistakes that were catastrophic, that led to the sacks, that lead people to think, man, this guy stinks. He doesn't stink. He's pretty good. If you look at him over this course of a full game, the thing he mentioned too, also he put on 15 pounds.
Oh, he looks so much bigger.
That is a big difference for him.
JJ, didn't you think he just looked bigger in terms of the upper body, like traps and shoulder area?
Yep. Play strength is a big deal for Bernard Ryman, and putting on 15 pounds. When the Colts draft these guys who maybe need to put on some weight, like Blake Freeland, who we'll get to, they do it believing that they can. Looking at some profiles of them leading up to the draft, they look at these guys and say, if he's going to put on weight, it's going to be good weight. And Bernhard Raimann putting on 15 pounds, that is good weight.
Well, you look at the resources that you have, different from college to the NFL. Even if you are at a larger program, I mean, just in terms of the strength training and the nutrition and all of those things where they can, they very much identify and specify and personalize these whole training plans to allow you to be able to do that. So it's hard when, your rookie year, I was thinking about this with these guys going through it right now. You come off of your college season, some of them playing bowl games and all of that, and you go straight into your pre-draft process, the combine training, pro day training, all of that. You get drafted by a team, then you show up at the facility about 4 days later, you start going through that process. There is no break for these guys to truly get kind of immersed in utilizing all of the things that are around them. Then you're expected to step in and play.
And then you're playing a football season that's like a third longer than what you're used to.
Yeah.
At least.
And if you're a guy who's playing left tackle, it's a pivotal position in the game too.
He needed to improve his footwork. He needed to gain weight. That's what the Colts laid out for him in the offseason. And you can tell he's definitely been grinding. And considering how much Bernhard cares about being good and the fact that he put it all together towards the end of last season, like you said, JJ, there's a lot of arrows pointing up for Bernhard Raimann, so that was really good to see. Again, like we said, Blake Freeland has played left side. He's played right side at BYU. JJ, is Blake Freeland, can you pencil him in as the swing tackle for next season, the guy that's number 2 to either back up Braden Smith or Bernhard Raimann on the left side?
Yeah, I think right now you look at the roster and you say he's probably in line for that. Jordan Murray, Carter O'Donnell, both on the roster there, going to compete at that spot. But there are free agents available. Like if the Colts get through the offseason program and you get through veteran minicamp and you say, you know what, he probably needs a year to develop, you can go get a veteran swing tackle. There are still a couple of those guys who are available. But if you get to the end of veteran minicamp and you say, all right, like Blake Freeland is going to be our swing tackle this year, we feel comfortable that he can go in for Raimann or for Smith and step in and get us through a game or 2 or 3 or whatever it may be, then that's great. Then you don't have to expend any more resources at that position. One other thing, just to, I don't know if this is going to happen.
I know where you're going here.
You know where I'm going with this.
I think so.
What if your best 5?
Yeah.
What if Blake Freeland's part of your best 5?
And he's at right tackle.
And then you kick Braden Smith inside to right guard,
which is where he played in college.
And he played a game there last year.
Yeah.
How
much sense would that make, considering Braden Smith's going into his 6th season as he's found a home?
It's best 5. It's best 5, and you also have a new coaching staff in here with fresh eyes on these guys. And if you go in and you say, look, our best 5 is this, then you go with it. So I think Blake Freeland is not only competing to be your swing tackle, but he could almost be in direct competition with a guy like Will Fries of who's your best 5. Figure that out and go from there.
All right, let's go to cornerback 2 deep. Here, Kenny Moore II obviously coming back. Isaiah Rodgers heading into a contract year, as is Kenny Moore II, by the way. Juju Brents, rookie. Dallas Flowers coming back, and then Darius Rush is a rookie, 5th-round draft pick out of South Carolina. And then don't forget about Tony Brown, who contributes also on special teams. So let's go with the rookies, Larra. Do Brents and Rush, do they have a leg up on Rodgers and Flowers because they were drafted, I don't know if specifically is the right word, but they were drafted a year after Gus Bradley has been here for a year, and they drafted big, long, athletic cornerbacks to specifically play in the Gus Bradley defense. Do they have a leg up on Rodgers and Flowers because of their physical dimensions, if you will?
I think that's part of it. I really do. I think that they were drafted with a vision for how they fit and the immediate impact that they can make. And you also saw the fact that the positions in terms of when Isaiah Rodgers was starting or kind of how his playing time shook out, same thing with Dallas Flowers. Flowers was obviously incredibly impactful on special teams as well. It's interesting that it seemed like last year Isaiah Rodgers never really solidified that starting spot. So I do think that there is a lot to be seen. I think that's probably one of the more intriguing position battles as you go through the late spring and the summer, building into and throughout the preseason, exactly what that group looks like. Now, worth noting, we haven't seen Brent's yet because he had that surgery coming out of his college season. So we actually haven't gotten eyes on exactly the work that he's been doing with his group. But guys, I will tell you, when I was watching yesterday, and I spent a lot of time watching the secondary, Juju Brents wasn't just standing out there observing from the sidelines. What he would do is he was going back and kind of, mirroring the guys in the drills that they were in and walking through as best he could in real time with exactly what they were doing. So it's certainly an eager aspect of this defense for him to be able to go in and without restriction and see what he is able to do. But yeah, I do think that some of these rookies might have a bit of a leg up, not just in terms of the physical attributes, but just in terms of no one's really locked up the starting job at the end of 2022.
Yeah, I mean, it's Kenny Moore, and then it's open season for these guys. And, Kenny could start outside. He could start in the slot. Like, he's going to be on the field this year. But then the other positions there, if you're in nickel, that's two outside spots that are wide open. And I think, Larry, your point about Juju Brents, he's not participating fully yet. But it was a hand?
I believe it was a hand,
wrist.
yes.
So he can do some of the footwork stuff. He can do the stuff that involves your lower body. He just can't jam and press, which, by the way, is one of the things he's the best at, is playing press coverage. So getting him with Ron Milas and getting some of those techniques down so when he gets to training camp, he can really hone in on how to use his hands. That's something that Rick Venturi talked about on Inside Football with Rick Venturi last week. Just about how, Brents needs to be a technician with his hands. His hand placement has to be perfect.
Yep.
You get the footwork stuff down now, if you can work on that, then, really get into your hand placement, how you strike, those things when you get into training camp with him.
Yeah, I'm saying don't sleep on Darius Rush. I mean, like you said, with Brents not being able to fully be out there, and I'm not saying Brents can't make up that time in training camp when he comes back. I think that he can. But for rookies, man, Darius Rush is going to get a big-time opportunity here because it's all about reps for rookies, live action, acclimating to the NFL. And Rush has everything you want in a corner to play under Gus Bradley. Big, strong, athletic, fast, good footwork, press off the line, and he's healthy. That's sort of the leg up he has right now over a guy like Juju Brents. So don't underestimate the amount of time that Rush is going to see in the spring and how much that matters, and maybe that might give him a slight leg up on paper on the depth chart going into training camp.
Isn't Darius Rush just also such a great football name?
It's
and a good interview too.
I mean, just the name alone, you're like, oh man, that's just a great.
I guess it'd be better if he was a running back.
I could see that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, like if his name was like
Hands
Darius
off to
Pass
Rush.
Breakup or something, that'd be pretty
PBU.
good. Yeah.
But like EJ Speed, another great football name.
We're
No
full
doubt.
of them here.
I know.
No doubt.
I know. Sorry, those are the weird things. Like when I look over the roster, I'm
I like it.
Great football name.
All right, let's switch over to failed it or nailed it. Failed it, like you guys thought of me dabbing my mediocre cuts of steak and ranch.
Oh, it's back.
Or nailed it like a cold beer on a summer evening next to the pool. All right,
my.
Those are the two drastic differences here. Failed it or nailed it with the NFL schedule
Two ends
makers.
of the spectrum
no
right
doubt.
there, yeah.
All right, so the Colts, they're going to play 2 AFC South games to start the season for the second straight year. They also play 4 of their first 6 against the division, and they don't have a single primetime game all season long. The Colts are one of 4 teams that were not given a primetime game. The Falcons, Cardinals, Texans being the others. Larra, did the schedule makers fail it or nail it in that regard?
I think that's pretty much where we expected, what we thought. I mean, JJ predicted no primetime games, and we kind of had our, wagers on exactly what was going to happen. And we talked about, I even said in our conversation 2 weeks ago, I thought they were going to open against Jacksonville. I'm glad it's at home. Glad they're not playing in Jacksonville week 1, my goodness. But yeah, I think it's kind of what you expected when the Colts obviously had a number of primetime opportunities last year, and those were certainly not stellar television viewing. In those
did not transpire that
yeah.
way.
So I think that's fine, and I'm okay with it. I think that it's a team that is going to have to and wants to earn the opportunity to play in prime time, and I'm okay with it. I think everything kind of shook out. I felt like pretty fair. There was nothing that I looked at and thought, oh man, that's terrible. I like having the bye week after the trip overseas to play the international game, and then I also liked coming off the bye week, you get a game at home.
Yeah. JJ, what do you make of all of the AFC South games though?
That part of it though, I'm just like, it's 2 straight years now. The Colts played 5 of their 6 AFC South games in the first 7 weeks of last season.
Right.
This year they're playing 4 of their 6 AFC South games in the first 6 weeks of the season. To me, that's sort of, okay, you better get off to a hot start then.
Mm-hmm.
And
last year when they didn't, it was like...
Right. I think of everything that happened.
That's when chaos ensued.
Right. Think of everything that had happened after that Week 7 game.
The
loss to the Titans.
Game.
That's
Matt
when
Ryan
it was
got benched.
dominoes.
Marcus Brady got fired. Frank Reich got fired in 3 consecutive weeks.
Right.
Because when you're 1-3-1 in the division after 7 weeks, everything's on the table. No one's getting fired this year in the middle of the season. But this is going to be a real test for the Colts now of how do you handle the first 6 weeks. And the interesting thing, like, there's so many different ways this could go. What if Gardner Minshew starts the season and the Colts get off to a really hot start, and all of a sudden it's
Which could very well happen.
Gardner Minshew's a good quarterback. All of a sudden you get to Week 7 and
happy
you're like,
birthday, Gardner Minshew.
hey,
by
happy
the way.
birthday, Gardner.
Yes.
Happy birthday, Gardner.
Strum along on your guitar, chill in your van, do whatever
I don't think he's got the van anymore. I think he sold it.
Yeah. Well, whatever.
Like, if he gets off to a hot start, are we going to get in a situation where it's like you can't get him out of the lineup because you're leading the division? There's going to be real things for Shane Steichen to really consider, and obviously that'd be a good problem to have. But the way that the schedule shakes out, I kind of wish it was maybe a little more dispersed, where you would get 2 of your AFC South games in the first 6, and then you get another 2 in the next 6, and then another 2 in the last 5, or just something like that. It doesn't render the second half of the season meaningless at all, but it just kind of
you just hope that hole's not that big.
Yeah, and but also the gravity of divisional games late in the season.
Right.
Those games,
Those
are the most fun games you can play in, and to only get 2 of those, even in 2021 when the Colts were rolling. They were done with the Titans after Week 8, and you would have thought, man, like a Week 15 Colts-Titans game that year would have been a lot of fun. You get the Titans later in the season this year. I'm kind of left wanting more of that.
Yep. All right. I'm going to take the lead on this one. I've got thoughts. I've got feelings here. So this year's schedule includes 3 Mondays with games that are going to be on the same or at the same time. On 2 Mondays, they're staggered by an hour, and then on the final Monday when they're doing this, they start at the same time.
What are we doing?
So, okay, I'm glad you feel this way. In Week 2, Saints, Panthers, ESPN, and then Browns, Steelers at 8:15 on ABC the next Monday, or the next time they do this. Eagles, Bucks at 7:15 on ABC. Then Rams at Bengals at 8:15 on ESPN. And then at Week 14, you have a pair of games that start at 8:15. It's Titans, Dolphins, and then Packers, Giants. I'm saying they failed this one because the beauty of Monday was that you were the only game on, right? I mean, all eyes on you. Why water down the product? Why take away the uniqueness and the sanctity of Monday Night Football by putting multiple games on at the same time? I mean, do you guys have time to watch an entire Monday Night Football game when the Colts aren't on? I mean, how often do you guys do that?
I do it a lot.
Every week.
Yeah.
Here's why I'm excited about it.
Maybe I'm in the minority.
Here's why they nailed it.
Keep Monday special.
Two of these 3 games start at 7:15 p.m. That's great. I can go to bed at a normal time after watching a Monday Night Football game. Now, will I? Probably not, because then I'm going to watch the end of Browns, Steelers, and Rams, Bengals. But if those games are blowouts, then
really, you're staying up for Browns, Steelers? Wow. You're better man.
We play both of those teams.
I just feel, Larry, I feel like Sunday night is now the big night of the week. Oh,
yeah. Agreed.
And now with this, to me, it makes Monday night feel even less of a big deal.
I'm a real big fan of the Thursdays, by the way, too.
Yeah.
I really like the to me now, the hierarchy of like the night games goes Sunday night, Thursday night, Monday night.
I think for me, I'm in a better viewing opportunity on Thursday night.
Yeah.
Selfishly, the workflow on
Right.
Thursday is not nearly as crazy as
Right.
it is on Monday, Tuesday.
Sure.
Well,
Or
you're
Sunday
kicking, you're
night.
kicking off the week of football.
I'm still trying to figure out who bought Gardner Minshew's van. He was selling it for $25K. That is a real opportunity
deal.
for some.
That's
I
a
know.
steal.
It's a
I'm
deal.
gonna. When Gardner talks this week, we might have to ask.
You gotta
about
ask him.
this.
Yeah, gotta ask
sorry, guys. That's a detour, but yeah. Now I'm down a rabbit hole over here.
I get it though with these doubleheaders, but I don't know. The more football I get to watch, the better, and I can't really watch football on Sundays outside of Sunday Night Football,
Yep.
so I guess I'm not super mad about it.
I don't like that you're gonna make people choose between like watching games. You know what I mean? Like it just like we already do that for the 1 o'clock games and the 4 o'clock games where like it dictates where things are going, and then I don't know. Well, this is actually selfishly this works out okay in my house because we installed when we did our home reno. We now have 3 TVs in the living room.
That's
It's like
pretty sweet.
it's like Buffalo Wild Wings.
Pretty sweet.
So we will be able to watch multiple
You'll be able to toggle.
simultaneously. Yeah, we can
I
just
love
toggle
it.
between the two.
I like
So
it.
actually, from a personal sense, I'm okay with that. But yeah, it seems a little crowded.
All right.
That's my opinion.
Speaking of crowded, Christmas Day is now crowded. Final one, NFL now with Christmas playing on Monday. Christmas falls on a Monday this year. So there's going to be a Monday, Christmas Day triple header. You're going to have Raiders, Chiefs, Giants, Eagles, Ravens, 49ers. JJ, did the schedule makers fail it or nail it? Do we need that much football on Christmas Day?
Yes. I don't know if they nailed it on the opponents because last year the games were Packers, Dolphins, Rams, Broncos, and Cardinals, Bucks. And by the time you got to that Cardinals Bucks game after the Rams beat the Broncos like 52-14, it was just like, I have no interest in watching these two teams. And it was a bad football game. And you know what I still did? I watched it.
Well, that's it. Larry, we had games on Tuesdays and Wednesdays during the pandemic because of scheduling, with breakouts and stuff like that, and we still watched. Those games still got great ratings.
That Ravens-Steelers game that was on like a Wednesday afternoon, I was locked into that.
I was too.
And the big question is, so this year it's on a Monday. Next year, Christmas is going to be on a Tuesday. Will the NFL continue to put games on Christmas Day starting next year on a non-typical football game day?
Tuesday's tough because that really just wrecks the whole week leading into and the week after, kind of. Like that Tuesday
But if the ratings
it's a
are
little
good enough,
fickle. And
it's proven we're gonna watch.
I do love Christmas Day football because there's always Christmas Day NBA, and it's so much different because late December in the NBA, there aren't like critical games at that point, right? Like you're well before the All-Star break and all of those things. This is this is the meat of the NFL calendar, right? Where you're trying to position yourself for playoff positioning, division titles, all of those things. So I love that. I'm a big fan of it. The Tuesday is a little precarious in my book, though.
I'm not sure if they can pull it off after this year. I mean, it's nice when it's Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and those are traditional football game days. You can get away with that, but I don't know if play on Tuesday and then play Saturday, Sunday, I should say.
Like, are you also going to have, are there going to be like those like kind of off bowl games happening then too? Like, are you going to have some of those?
I gotta tune into the Bahamas Bowl, baby.
Yeah, like is that? But I'm just thinking about like for TV purposes,
the Big Boy
like,
Mowers Bowl or whatever it is.
Yeah,
Bad Boy Mowers, excuse me.
I like it. Well, one thing about the schedule that we are incredibly excited about again is that Colts trip to Germany against the Patriots, Week 10, mid-November. And no one better to talk about the Colts playing overseas and heading to Germany than former Colts defensive end Bjorn Werner, a native German, grew up in Berlin, still heavily involved in the NFL in Germany, calling NFL games as a color commentator on German television. He's a superstar over there. So without further ado, here's my conversation earlier today with Bjorn Werner about the Colts' upcoming trip to Germany this fall. All right, joining us now, former Colts defensive end Bjorn Werner. Bjorn joining us from Germany and his hometown of Berlin this morning. Bjorn, thanks so much for the time today. How are you?
I'm doing great. How are you? It's been a long time.
Yeah, absolutely. It's been too long, man. It's great to hear your infectious voice. You can you can feel that attitude of yours, coming through the phone line here as we make this call internationally. So before we get into the excitement of the Colts coming to Germany this fall, let's talk about you, Bjorn. How are you, and what are you up to these days? Tell us kind of what life is like for you now.
Oh man, it's been quite a journey, coming from Germany, going over to play high school ball, college ball, and then for the Colts, and then like 2-3 years after the Colts, I moved back to Germany, back to my hometown Berlin, where my wife is from as well, and we have 2 kids, 2 daughters that were born in Carmel, Indiana. So,
man, congratulations on that. Yes.
And then we kind of just moved back. Once the whole football journey was done, we decided to kind of go back home and obviously be close to the families. And then I kind of got into the whole, obviously, my American football has been my life, and right now it's my life, So I'm very involved in the whole media stuff. I'm a color analyst here for the German TV station, calling games, growing the game over here overseas, because the game was so good to me, and I would love to just be a part of the journey, continuing forward, just making it grow even more, So it's kind of, I always explain it like I'm living the dream after the dream. My dream wasn't to play in the NFL.
I know it.
And I was able to do that. Obviously, I would have loved to have a way longer career, but the body eventually said, man, you're done now. So I wish I could have done that, but sometimes life kind of, closes a door and another door opens up. And then now, I'm sitting here at home right now talking to you, talking about international games in Germany,
Right,
what?
Right.
This is so crazy. And now, you guys, the Colts, my former team are coming over to play the Patriots. It's kind of surreal, I'll be honest. Back in the day, I would have loved to play in that game, being part of the Colts at home in front of the home fans. But I'm excited for everybody who's on the roster right now, all the coaches, everybody who's allowed to come over, because it's a great experience. I can tell you that.
Yeah, I mean, let's stay there. I mean, how did you get involved in broadcasting? And I guess for the ignorance of not knowing the full details of that, Bjorn, I mean, what is the market for American football on television in Germany? And I guess the last question, which is a loaded question, I understand, but how do you perform broadcasting in Germany for American football on a week-to-week basis?
Yeah, so the last 10 years, a TV station called Pro7 had the rights to show one game in the 1 p.m. slot and one game in the second slot, and all the playoffs games and the Super Bowl.
Mm-hmm.
So I just started, once I was done and moving over here, I was like, man, let me try this. Let me get into it. Let me see if I like also talking about the game, maybe see if the fans like it. And when I started, I mean, the growth every year in TV viewership, it's tremendous here in Germany. This is why Germany is the biggest market outside of North America for the NFL. And the German people just, I guess, love the sport. And it's amazing to see that back in the day, 15 years ago, I'm 32 now, when I started playing when I was 12 years old, I started playing flag football, and then with 14 I played tackle football.
Right.
I was carrying my shoulder pads and my helmet through the underground, through the train stations, and people were thinking I play ice hockey, And now, now, you see so many people on the streets wearing NFL merchandise,
mm-hmm.
and the excitement, obviously, from last year's game. Everybody in the U.S. who follows American football, the NFL, knew about the Munich game, what kind of event there was, because I saw it. We were close with, Colleen Wolfe, Willie McGinnis, Joe Thomas, all these guys who came over, who've been part of the broadcasting from the NFL Network or the other TV channels. They were so surprised how amazing this was, and I just wanted to be part of it. So I kind of applied, but they kind of reached out to me, and then I guess my role grew bigger and bigger from year to year. We have one of the guys who I'm doing the TV with, and me have the biggest sports podcast, Football Bromance, and that kind of grew very fast as well.
Mm-hmm.
So, Pat McAfee, me and him are actually in a little conversation still, and exchanging stuff on the digital space.
Yeah.
And I told him he better come over this time, because he told me last time he wanted to come over and play a ping pong match against me in front of a whole crowd. So he shakes hands with me at the Super Bowl. Yeah, it just kind of happened. Talked about it, and I love talking about football. It's just, I don't know. This was always my my love.
Sure.
At 12 years old, I fell in love with the game, and it never stopped. Now I can't play it anymore. I don't want to coach. So I like to just be involved. Obviously, talking about it and analyzing stuff. And now I've been doing this. I don't know, like 6 years now, 5-6 years, and it's been amazing.
So
amazing.
As you said, the international games, you guys actually get to those and you broadcast those games live at the stadium. Germany last year, and then of course the London games in years past,
right.
And then you go in and you broadcast the Super Bowl. You come make that trip and you broadcast the Super Bowl live in person. But tell me about the atmosphere of an NFL game actually played in Germany, and how that compared to the atmosphere and the crowd and the energy of games that you played in and games that you've called. I mean, I'm sure it had to have been just completely different atmosphere and excitement for that game, right, from a crowd standpoint.
I mean, look, I'm going to explain it like just my usual Sunday is like I'm going to the TV station. It has been in Munich. Now they're switching TV rights to different TV stations.
Mm-hmm.
But I travel to Munich, and then I sit in the TV in the TV studio, and I look at the monitor and I commentate the game based off what I see on TV. It's nice, but it's not the same feeling as being in the stadium, feeling the crowd, right? Like having this atmosphere. So, like you said, we do the international games and we do the Super Bowl live in the stadium for the fans. And every time you have a chance to do that, it's amazing. But till this point last year, we only experienced the Super Bowl and the international games, which are like the London games, which are amazing. But the Munich game topped it all. I'm telling you, like for me as a former German player, being able to see that, it was an honor. It was like a holiday, and just how emotional to see how far the game has come in my country, where I'm from. And seeing the whole journey of it. And I commentated. I was the analyst at that game for the TV station, and the crowd was exceptional. It was nothing like I've seen before. I'll be honest, it topped all the Super Bowls. I've been to the 5 Super Bowls and commentated. Wow. And obviously, the Super Bowl is a different kind of crowd, right?
Yeah,
it's not like the event. It's not like the fan bases are like fully packed of, you have like 15 to 20,000 people from each team there, and the rest are kind of like the VIPs and the sponsors and stuff.
Yeah.
But like last year, like the Seahawks and the Buccaneers, the crowd was just filled with all kinds of merchandise, and they were just celebrating these games from the beginning till like hours after the game. Like they had to kick out the fans out of the stadium to clean up because the fans just enjoyed it so much. Because I can tell you, the German game, once they sold the tickets, right, like in the Allianz Arena from Bayern Munich, they had like 74,000 tickets on sale. When it came out, the waiting lines, like 2 minutes into like they're putting it online, there were like 700,000 people on the waiting line on Ticketmaster.
Wow.
So after that, they sold out in a few minutes, and they said this was the second biggest event after the Super Bowl for Ticketmaster. And we was like, what? This can't be true. So this created another hype that so many people just wanted to be at this game, and so many people were disappointed in not being able to go. It's so hard to get a ticket for these games. It's like a gold ticket, It's like the Super Bowl. And this is crazy for everybody who hears this, because no event in the U.S. it's like it's just besides the Super Bowl.
Right.
That you have to pay a lot of money to get there. Like it's kind of impossible to get tickets. And man, it was amazing just to see the crowd. They were like singing "Sweet Caroline." You saw that. I know every American who's involved with the NFL saw the whole stadium singing "Sweet Caroline." It was like a concert.
Yeah.
Like it was during the 2-minute drill, and the Tampa Bay Buccaneers were kind of like having the finishing drive with Tom Brady on the field, and they would start singing "Sweet Caroline" for like the whole song, and the stadium literally paused in the 2-minute drill, and the players were just looking up, enjoying a concert.
Yeah.
You know? And it was crazy. Like I never seen that. I've never seen it at any game. I've never seen it with the Colts. I've never seen it at Florida State.
Of course.
I've never seen it at away games. We played, with the Colts. We played everywhere. We played all these great stadiums with great fan bases, but you never seen it because you have so many home games the fans can go to. But this one game last year was the home game for all of Germany.
Yeah.
And it's the home game they've been waiting for a long time. So the London tickets was the closest, game they can go to. They're already tough to get the tickets, but the German game beat the London tickets now, to get a ticket. And now we have 2 games in Frankfurt. It's a smaller stadium, so I guess it's the same way that
it's going to be even tougher. Yeah,
it's going to be. If you get some tickets, let me know.
I'll let you. I will let you know. I will do my best. Right? No, that's
really, it's awesome. Like I said, the Colts fan base. Hopefully, I can only suggest the Colts Nation who wants to travel. It's a great trip. It's going to be worth it. It's different. It's just different. So everybody who has, I guess, the time to do it, I would suggest you to do it. Yeah. It's a very, and especially Indiana, who has a lot of German.
That's right.
Heritage. There's a lot of people who have a great grandmother from Germany or a great grandfather from Germany. So
That's right.
It's a pretty cool experience, I think.
No doubt about it. That's well said. Well put right there. Bjorn Werner is our guest. Now, you talked about, there's no question that the popularity of football in Germany is there because of what you just described. That's why the NFL is going there in the first place, Bjorn. But why? Maybe give me a handful of reasons on why you think American football became so popular so fast in Germany.
I think, it did start with some of the NFL players who made it. I was one of them. But there was Sebastian Vollmer, who won 2 Super Bowls with the Patriots. Mm-hmm. There was Marcus Kuhn, a defensive lineman with the Giants. Kasim Adebali, defensive lineman with the Saints. At one point, when I was still with the Colts, we had 6 German NFL players. And obviously, me being a first round and Sebastian Vollmer winning the Super Bowl a year after. Do you remember when we lost in the AFC Championship, Deflategate?
Yep.
That was the year, right? They won the Super Bowl.
Correct.
So that was in my second year. So the first, I guess, German player who literally grew up in Germany and went over, won a Super Bowl. So those 2 stories, being a first-round pick and having him win it, it was a huge media, a huge media story, within 2 years. And then the TV station, ProSieben, kind of, they had the games in the playoffs and the Super Bowl, but then they kind of jumped on and said, you know what, let's do it every week. Let's not just show the playoffs in the Super Bowl.
Right.
Let's show 2 games each week in the regular season and try to build it. So it's a combination of the TV station taking a risk, but also like the German players at the same time making it to the NFL and creating some news for the German outlets.
Yeah.
So that I think is the starting point, but then it kind of took its own dynamic, like the fans just liking the game even more. We taught them even more. The people who are on TV started to tell them more about the sport. That is so different from soccer, obviously football, if you say soccer over here, they're going to, they don't like it. It's football, Mm-hmm. But for our interview, it's soccer. And, soccer has become just it's so much. You see so much soccer, so many different tournaments, so many Champions League, Bundesliga, all these things. And I feel like the Germans were just ready to see something new and fresh. It was
right.
One of those. It was just time for the sports fans to see something new, and it's a normal time over here. So the 1 p.m. game is like a 7 p.m. game for us, and the 4:30 game, right? The p.m. game is like 10:30, so it's like 6 hours.
Yeah.
Obviously, the playoffs and the Super Bowl is going to be very late for us, but the Super Bowl has like over 2 million viewers in the middle of the night, and that's across. We have the Game Pass, we have the TV station, we have the Zone. So I think there's a total of 15 to 20 million NFL fans who know it, So
wow.
out of
yeah.
we like 84 million population, and there's a lot of people,
no
a
doubt,
lot of people knowing the brand, the NFL.
Right.
They just did a great job, I guess, marketing.
For sure.
The last like year and a half and 2 years, they now have an office here in Germany because they see how important the market is. And since obviously the office kind of took over, there's even more marketing within the country for these games and for the brand. So you can just see how it's growing even faster now.
Mm-hmm.
It's becoming mainstream. It's not like this small sport on the side. Like it's really becoming a mainstream sport here in the U.S. In Germany, and at the same time, more kids starting to play the game. Because they're getting inspired, they're getting motivated, they fall in love with the game, and that's kind of like that's the big goal, right? To kind of inspire the next generation to play football. So.
Well, like you said, I mean, the Colts and Patriots coming over there, the second of 2 games played in Germany this year after a game was played last year in Germany in 2022. Both games are going to be played in Frankfurt, Bjorn. It's about a 4-hour drive from where you grew up in Berlin. Like you said, I mean, you highly encourage Colts fans to make that trip if they can swing it. Tell us, what's the city of Frankfurt like? What do you like about where that game is being played, and maybe a handful of things to check out about the city if some Colts fans from over here are contemplating about making that trip in November?
The beautiful thing about Frankfurt, or I guess Germany, is Frankfurt has the biggest airport in Europe. It's very easy to travel from anywhere in the U.S. to Frankfurt. But the good thing is in Germany, you can rent a car for a weekend, do a long weekend, and just drive around that area, right? Because it's a beautiful area outside of Frankfurt. The city itself is kind of like a banking area, a banking city, right? So the Deutsche Bank is there located. So it's a very, very American-like city where like a skyscrapers and stuff like that. But you can see so many cities and smaller towns, what obviously the beautiful side is from Germany, like the old towns and stuff like that. You can kind of feel it. But, I mean, the whole city is just transforming. That's the interesting part for me. The whole city is kind of transforming into this whole football vibe, and it's just kind of amazing to see that for me as a German guy who been to Frankfurt, but, nobody cares at all, like a few years ago, and now, boom, the NFL is going to be here for like 2 weeks. All of a sudden, like everything is like branded. There's this huge NFL football right now in the middle of the city right now. They're just there now. They just put it there as a marketing.
Right.
It's crazy, and the German beer. I know the Americans know the German beer. It's always a good trip.
Yeah, that's definitely that's part of the triptych, I think, when you're talking about that trip and what's enticing about going over there. Lastly, Bjorn, maybe put on your coaching hat here, or your former player hat, your GM hat. What advice would you give to teams like the Colts and Patriots making that trip to Germany? Right? I mean, how much time do you think they're going to need to get acclimated and adjusted body clock wise to be in a position where they can play at the highest of levels? Like how much travel time and lag time, if you will, on the front end of that trip would you suggest for those players?
I know that the Colts franchise been to London already, and I think they moved. They came in on a Thursday. That was kind of like the thing, right? And, early on, the whole team was staying for a whole week. And then somehow somebody figured out, I guess it's more convenient, I guess a better recovery time, or like you can be more ready to go when you travel on Thursday, come in late, stay away, because it's 6 hours instead of 5 hours from the London game. So I guess the Colts have kind of an advantage. I don't know who's all still involved. I guess when was the game? Like
2016, correct.
2016, yes. I mean, it's been a while already. Time is flying, so I don't know how many guys are still on the team who've been through that. But I mean, this is kind of depends on the franchise. What kind of moves they're doing? Are they going to try to enjoy the week a little? Coming early. But I feel like even last year the teams were coming in. I remember the Buccaneers came in on that Thursday night, or like even a Friday, and the Seahawks came in Thursday night. So one team, I think the Buccaneers came in like Friday. So you know what I'm saying? Like they came even. They didn't want to do this whole long trip, so I guess it was a business trip.
Right.
At the end of the day, it's still a business trip, but I can at least say I think it's a special memory and experience for players who are able to play overseas. Because I also know from my time in the U.S., I lived there for 12 years, a lot of Americans never make it outside the country because the country is so big. So to be able to play an NFL game overseas, and because it's your job, you're able to do that, and they give you this experience, I mean, just soak it in. Just soak it in. I mean, even if it's just one day.
Right.
So, I mean, at least I know the franchises, I know the Colts and the Patriots are going to give the team at least an afternoon off to just do something to be around the city. So I think to combine work and leisure is pretty cool.
Yeah, that's it for me. What you just said, that's it for me. I mean, I don't know when in my lifetime, Bjorn, when I'm going to get to Germany. So to be able to travel for, work, so to speak, but then also take in an NFL game at such a unique environment. I mean, that's unbelievable for me in terms of that opportunity. Lastly, wrapping up here with you, I got to ask you, because you are an analyst now, right? You are an expert. So what do you make of the Colts now, Bjorn, under Shane Steichen and the direction they have now at quarterback and Anthony Richardson? What's your level of optimism in Germany about the Colts going into this season?
I mean, I'm going to be honest right here.
Yep.
Obviously, because I play for the Colts, and that's always the question I get also from the fans and from the journalists over here. It's been a rough patch. Since at the quarterback position since Andrew kind of left, right? So I'm excited. I'm excited that the Colts took Anthony Richardson. Shows a lot of potential, like everybody in the U.S. kind of said that. Even though he's a Florida Gator, because I'm a Florida State Seminole, but still, he has so much potential, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do early in the season and the growth he's going to take. I love the interviews I'm seeing from him. He seems like a very humble guy. Obviously, I can just see from outside looking in. He seems very humble, and that's the approach. I mean, I've been in this spot not as a quarterback, but as a former first-round pick. There comes a lot of pressure with it, right? When you perform, they love you. When you don't perform, they hate you right away. That's part of being a professional athlete. You have to kind of deal with it and learn with it too. And I'm very excited. I'm hoping. I'm really hoping that he has a very good rookie season. That he's going to come over. I think it's week 10, right? It's week 10. That he's going to come over here and give the Patriots a good battle, as a quarterback, because obviously at the end of the day, that's the most important position. I mean, just to feed on just to feed the Colts Nation a little bit. I know Colts and the Patriots already don't have a love relationship, right? It's a hate relationship. So, but to be in Germany where the Patriots, it's very important. It's a very important market, right? The Patriots is one of the 4 teams that has the marketing rights here, the international marketing rights. They're going to do everything to obviously just spread out and say, hey, the Patriots are here, finally.
Yeah.
They've been, I'm telling you, Robert Kraft's been waiting for this a long time, and now he got it. And I'm just saying, it would be nice if the Colts, the Colts have a great opportunity to kind of ruin this whole honeymoon,
No doubt.
So, but the Patriots are always a good team, right? Mac Jones and Billy B, they always kind of have a good team. So it's going to be a nice battle. I hope Anthony Richardson, like I said, and Steichen, who's obviously a quarterback guy, an offensive guy, I'm excited for it to see, Right. And, at the end of the day, it's been a long time, but I always kind of have a place for the Colts, obviously, in my heart, because they gave me a lot. They gave me the chance. My 2 girls grew up in Indianapolis, were born in Carmel, Indiana, and my wife. There's a lot of memories, and it would be cool to see you guys come over, and hopefully I'm able to analyze this game or commentate this game. If not, I'm definitely going to be at the stadium trying to be there. Because we have 2 games, and it's kind of always the way the NFL network, like our network, kind of says, okay, you're going to do this game, you're going to do this game, because we have more guys. So hopefully I get this one.
Well, I mean, certainly you can throw your weight around saying, hey, let's look at me. Like, this is where I come from. This is my team. This is the game I need, right? Come on.
That's what I'm saying. I was like, come on, guys. I play for this team. Isn't this a good story? So, I'm excited for you. I'll be honest. Like everybody who's able to travel.
Very much.
Not the whole Colts staff is going to be able to travel, because I know there's so many people involved behind the scenes as well. And I don't know, I'm sure not every single one can go, but even for the people who can go or who are thinking about it, who have the chance of going, do it.
Yeah.
That's a one-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and it's going to be a nice crowd, and it's different. It's going to be a different crowd. I know these two games in Frankfurt going to be wild again. They're going to be special, you know. It's like 46,000 people fitting into the stadium, but it's a very nice, compact stadium, you know.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be a very crowd. I mean, just look at the Eintracht Frankfurt, the Bundesliga team. They have one of the craziest fan bases
Yes.
in the Bundesliga.
Yes.
When they have a game, the stadium is almost on fire. You know, like this is like it's wild. So I feel like it's that kind of model or that kind of energy is going to transform also into the football fans who are going to come in there. Because there's a lot of tradition in that stadium. Right. So I'm excited.
Bjorn, you're just a natural, man. I mean, you have so much. You have great energy. You're obviously a great speaker.
Excited, man.
Yeah.
I'm just excited. This is amazing.
Indeed. Well, it's great to talk to you again. Bjorn Werner, former Colts defensive end, drafted by the Colts in 2013. Thank you so much for making the time for us. Thanks for squeezing us in with a time difference. Great interview when you played for the Colts. I'm glad that hasn't changed. And I hope we can track you down in November when we make that trip, when the Colts travel to Germany, Bjorn. I hope we can do something in person or at the very least connect over the phone in case you, for whatever reason, don't get that game, right?
Yeah, for sure. I hope you guys don't ghost me once I'm there and say, hey, guys, I'm knocking on the door. And you're like, this guy. He's not letting me in now.
That's what we do.
You guys answer the phone. No, just kidding. Hey, have fun. Hey, have a good season. And then hopefully we see each other in November.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much for the time, Bjorn. Thanks again for everything and continued success.
Thank you. Likewise.
There you go. Bjorn Werner from earlier today. Fantastic conversation back here with Larra and JJ. Here's one of Bjorn's highlights from last year, by the way, from German television.
Das gibt's doch nicht! Was ist hier los?
I think that was from the
Bills
Dolphins on a scoop and score.
Amazing.
That was great.
Fumble recovery by Miami. Macht einen Fumble und erleichtert einen Touchdown. I think was the play-by-play right there.
Wow.
Yeah, scoop and
I can't play-by-play announcer.
I can't wait for you to make that call when in a Colts game, you know?
I gotta go. It's a little dusty. I gotta have a little refresher course. Bring a thesaurus over there. But yeah, 4 years in German. And Bjorn
Get
just
your
a good dude.
lederhosen, buddy. This is great stuff.
And speaking of broadcasting, how about Matt Ryan, Larra? Announced this week he's going to be working for CBS in studio and calling a couple games next season.
If we know anything about Matt Ryan, it is that any opportunity he is presented, he will absolutely crush because he not only has immense football knowledge, but he also has a fantastic personality. He's engaging. He's dynamic. He has a great way of communicating. He is just incredibly likable, and he'll create such a fun energy and dynamic with the other guys. I'm thrilled for Matt, and I honestly think people watching are going to get smarter because of Matt Ryan being in a broadcast booth or in a studio.
Yeah, I love it. There's always a lot of value for these broadcasting entities to hire former athletes, especially quarterbacks, because they're so smart. The guys that just recently left the game because they come in knowing the players on the field because they just played against them, right? They know the coaches, they know the schemes, they know the players. So from that angle, man, it continues to be a slam dunk for Matt Ryan. All right, Larry, you got one?
Random thought of the week.
And why is the carpet all wet, Todd?
I don't know, Margot.
You guys going out of town? You know if it's cold there? Do these vans get good gas mileage?
Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up! Shut up!
Lay it on us.
All right, I've been traveling a little bit of late, so I had this thought that emerged. And so there's a episode of Sex and the City, and I know that most probably of this listening audience won't have much familiarity with it, but Carrie Bradshaw.
Miranda.
Oh, there you go. Miranda is one of the key characters.
Samantha, Miranda, Charlotte, Carrie.
Yeah.
Carrie Bradshaw.
Wow.
Yeah.
And then who are the guys? Do you get a little?
There's Big.
Yes.
And then the guy that was like the big carpenter guy.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Shaw.
Aiden. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, you're impressing me right now.
Well, it's I get it on the peripheral.
Yeah.
Because it was on, but I didn't watch it, but it was on the. I got enough.
Yeah.
I got enough.
You know your Manolo Blahniks. You can go toe to toe with the best of them. So she discusses something called her SSB, her secret single behavior. And when I've been traveling, or if I'm at home, Dan's out of town, what is something that you look forward to when your spouse, your kids are either out of town, or, you're in a hotel, like when we're on the road traveling, that like you have the hotel room, you have like a whole evening to yourself. Like, what is it that you most look forward to? Nothing nefarious here, guys. I'm not gonna anger Betsy and Sam here on this, but I'll go ahead and I'll lead by telling you guys mine, so you have time to mull yours over. But I will always, if I have like a night at home, or if I'm on the road and I'm like door dashing or picking up carrot or something, I really enjoy getting Thai food, because my husband is not a big fan of Thai. So I'll get like a heaping container of pad Thai with chicken and extra veggies, like a kind of like on a moderately hot level. And then I also have, like, if I'm at home solo on like a Friday when Dan's camping or doing something, I'll get I really like barbecue chicken pizza, and I have two spots where I'll go get like a salad, barbecue chicken pizza.
And Dan doesn't like barbecue chicken pizza?
He's normally like, he's kind of like a solid like pepperoni guy, so but it's just, it's like that's my thing that I enjoy. And then I'll usually like come home and binge watch episodes of Sex in the City or Friends or something. And then if I'm at home, not on the road, I'll usually spend my Saturday blasting aggressive 90s rap throughout the entire house on like the on the Bluetooth speaker while I clean.
Oh, wow.
And drink copious amounts of coffee.
Can you clean without that? Like, is that part of the routine now?
Oh, absolutely. Like, yes. If I don't have like something like blasting in my ear, like, like Lil Wayne particularly.
I have to like cut grass or clean the house with headphones on. Yeah. Like, I have to have that. If not, I just like, okay, I'm not doing this.
Yeah, exactly.
I love cleaning the house with some peace and quiet.
Oh, no,
I gotta have
peace
something.
and quiet.
No.
I don't get, like, it's, if I get a time to get peace and quiet
distracting.
Oh, God. I thought it was, and then I had 3-year-old boys, and I'm like, oh, peace and quiet's the best.
Okay, so what is your SSB, though? What is something you look forward to do in complete solitude?
If I'm at home and, let's say, because if the kids are asleep and Betsy's out doing something or she's away, if it's nice out, I'll go out. We just put a projector on our patio. And I will go put a projector, pull it down, and I'll pop on MLB TV. I don't even care what game it is. I'll just pop on a ball game, sit out there with a cold beer, watch the ball game.
The Big Boy Mowers Bowl, particularly?
No, baseball game. I'd love to, but that's in the winter. I can't watch a Big Boy Mowers Bowl, so I guess I can watch a replay.
So wait a minute. Cool technology there. So you have a screen, like a drop-down screen?
Yeah, I installed a projector screen on our patio.
Oh, wow.
Then hung a projector from our patio ceiling. It's kind of covered. So
is it like weatherproof?
Rain does really not get in to the patio because the patio faces south and is covered. So it works out great where I can just drop the projector down. I cover it a little bit.
Does that have like a remote control? Like,
yep. No, it's not a remote control. I gotta get a step stool to pull it down.
Okay.
Well, cool. So I'll do that. If
cool
it's
nonetheless.
If it's cold out though, I'll go to the basement. I'll pop on the N64. I'll play a little NFL Blitz.
Oh,
nice.
Classic.
Maybe pop in a little Star Fox.
Shout out to Homage. They have an NFL Blitz collection on their website, and I have the Jonathan Taylor T-shirt, and it is. I get compliments on it all the time.
I can't look at that because I'll just lose so much money on it.
It's so good.
But yeah, that would be it. And then like food wise, there's not really anything. But if I'm on the road and like we're not going out to dinner or anything, I'll get in the hotel room and I'll pop on The Simpsons or Archer. Two shows that I love watching that Betsy. There's no way she's watching those with me.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
She thinks they're stupid, which is fair. They are. But they're great in my mind.
So I would probably just hang out. If it's a nice night, I'd go outside, listen to classic vinyl on Sirius XM, or bring out a 6-pack. Or I might
JMV takeover maybe on a Saturday.
No, I'm not doing that. No, that is you talk about eccentric. I am not doing that.
Shout out to JMV.
There's a handful of good stuff, but some of that stuff's too deep for. I mean that's the whole genre that I just completely skipped over, like late '80s, early '90s. But I might also, too, I'm going to call it something, but it's really not. I might go picking. I call it picking But it's really more just like I go try to find like cool vintage stuff at like a flea market.
Yeah.
I don't ever get a chance to do that. Like I love going to these little pop-up stuff at flea markets or places like that.
Is there something that you found on one of these picking excursions that you're particularly proud of?
Like, I'm going to go for like signs or like collectible
IU
stuff.
paraphernalia and whatnot?
Yeah. Depending on what part of the state you're in.
An old school Cincinnati Reds? Something or another, like a pennant?
10 signs, pennants. Records.
Pokey Reese jersey.
Yeah. No, like a good record collection. Like you find the best records, vinyl records at places like this. So maybe I might go to one or two places like that if I have an entire afternoon off.
I love that.
Yeah. What is your SSB? Listening to the Colts official podcast and watching
Is it
some
putting steak on or ranch on steak? Please let us know. Gary Cook, by the way, loyal listener, Gary S. Cook, agrees with you, Maytay.
Oh, really?
He tweeted at us.
I got one.
He tweeted at Maytay Colts.
One.
Your co-hosts could not be more wrong about ranch on a steak. What do you put on a steak salad? Come on, man. And then he tagged Larra and I.
Blue cheese. I go blue cheese dressing on a steak salad.
I just feel like
I put like a vinaigrette, but
this take is not that strong of a take. Again, I've been up front the entire time.
Okay.
Medium cuts of steak, and it's not every time, but just a little dab of ranch. I'm telling you, folks, it's not that bad.
I'm trying to find this because I did a poll recently.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah,
I saw that.
Yeah, it was not favorable to Matt Taylor.
I didn't think it would be.
Here it is. Let's see the results of this poll that I ran.
Do I have more than one person that agrees with me though?
Ranch on steak? 303 votes. 4.6% of respondents said yes.
Oh, wow.
95.4% of respondents said no.
See, there's people out there like-minded.
My favorite response.
Just a little dab will do you.
Favorite response I got to this, by the way, was from @ColtsFanCole on Twitter, which was just a picture of Hank Hill rubbing his temples. And like you all know the sound that he was making in that, like
No, I don't know.
No,
King the Hill, another show I'll watch in the hotel.
That's it. That's all we need right there. That's going to do it for this week's podcast. JJ and Larra, they're done ganging up on me on ridiculous food takes. Okay, I'm sorry. It's done. It's dead. It's buried. We'll have something else equally as stupid coming up next week. I'm Matt Taylor. Keep enjoying this great weather here in the month of May, and we'll talk to you next weekend before Memorial Day in Indianapolis. You all know what that means. Until then, have a great rest of the week, and we will talk to you next time on the official Colts podcast, brought to you by WynnBET. So long.